Hello and welcome to Insights in Action with Orange 142, where we interview agency leaders and business owners to uncover the journeys, strategies, and insights that drive their success. At Orange 142, we're all about transforming brand stories into impactful digital experiences through innovative media and marketing solutions. And today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Renee Miller of Miller Group. How's it going, Renee?
Good, Shiv. Thanks so much for asking.
Yes, absolutely. And Renee, thank you so much for being on, first of all. I would love to just start this off by learning a little bit more about your background and a little bit more about the Miller Group.
Great. So we've been around since 1990. I am founder and chief creative officer, and we work with primarily with middle market marketing directors who need support, a lot in the area of home products and services. And we do pretty much everything. We really start by helping clients figure out what their challenge is. A lot of clients want to do things, and it's great, every agency does things, but really I think our point of differentiation is to help them uncover what the challenge is and how we can best solve it.
Yeah, wow, that's really interesting. First of all, 1990. Oh my gosh. A, that's longer than I've been alive. And B, most agencies don't last that long. So that's like a real testament to how long or how good of service you guys do. Because that's lots of agencies, and like they go through these like rush periods. Everybody starts an agency, then they go out of style. People stop starting them, and then people start them again. And like your agency has stood the test of time. So what has been, in your opinion, the secret to that or the recipe for success for you guys?
So, Shiv, the basic tenets of marketing have stayed the same over the years. We've got a lot more tools, a lot more techniques, a lot more channels. We need to follow the basic tenets. Who's your audience? Who's your target? What's your biggest challenge? What are you selling? It's not so much about the product or service. So, in other words, there could be what we look at the client, we say, what business are you in? And if someone says we're in the banking business, and we really go deeper, it's not so much necessarily the banking business. It's really about peace of mind and financial
Yeah,
literacy. So we really have to go deeper
right.
into what business is our client in, who is our target audience, what are we want them to think about us, and how do we want them to respond?
Mm,
And what are we looking to get from them? Those tenets go
yeah.
back hundreds of years when advertising, and people think advertising really, paid advertising started in the 40s, 30s, 20s, but it's advertising has been going on for hundreds of
Yeah,
years.
yeah. It's one of the oldest industries out there. People have been selling since time began, essentially. Wow.
Yeah,
And I love that because it's so rooted in like psychology.
yeah.
You're right, the mediums will always change. There's always going to be a new platform out there. And of course, social came and really changed the game and how you could target people. But like the people who understood the tenets that you're talking about, that never changed. You know what I mean? What are people's true desires, right? People don't want to buy a watch. People want to buy the feeling that they get when they wear the watch. You know what I mean? So I love that take. And so the tenants have stayed the same since 1990. What was the marketing landscape like back then? And what shifts have surprised you the most over the last 3 decades?
So I think, Shiv, keeping pace with what's going on is really important. And so as a team, we talk regularly to determine what tools can we best use. As I said, there are more channels now and more tools available than there ever were. Years ago, you had three major networks for television and people were captive audience, but that's not how it is anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not, a lot of clients will say, let's just do something on social, but it's really analyzing where are you going to grab people's attention and what is the message that you're going to give them, and then also really looking deeper into the client's products and services. One thing we always do is something called root cause analysis, which sounds really scary and expensive, and it really isn't. It's just basically a form of research, a deep dive
Mm.
into what people perceive the client to be, because in their minds, they're asking us to create something absent any feedback from their customers or even their internal stakeholders. So it's really important that we understand what they think about the client's brand before we
Yeah.
even create anything.
Wow, that's really interesting. I love that root cause analysis. That's really cool. It's so interesting as you're talking, like the just thinking about the landscape. Like back then, you had to make so many. This is just before 2011 when Facebook advertising really took hold. I think that changed the game quite a bit. But you really had to make a lot of assumptions. You know what I mean? You're like, okay, somebody watches Friends every night on cable TV, so we can assume that this is their age range, so they'll be into these types of products, product X, Y, and Z. So we're going to place a commercial on one of these big three networks that does that. And now you can like really get granular on social. You can target people based on interest and whatnot. Even us at Orange 142, we do a lot of programmatic. So we do a lot of behavioral contextual targeting. And we can literally target people who are in market to go to Belize for vacation. You know what I mean? So it's gotten so granular. So do you feel like that shift over time has made your job a little bit easier or has it stayed the same?
I think it's actually more complicated because
Okay.
you really need to understand it's not just behavioral.
Yeah.
People can say they're going to do something or you can observe them doing something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're actually going to do it. You know what I mean? And collecting data, you guys do a great job of collecting data and but really understanding deeper insights into that customer is super important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Intention. A lot of times you'll, a customer will have an intention, but they won't, they'll say, we're going to do such and such. And then you go, they didn't do it. They intended to do it, but behaviorally, they changed their mind. And so it's really looking
Yeah.
at on a deeper level what's motivating these people. And people are so time starved. And that I
Yeah.
think that makes it, you post a pre-ad for 3 to 5 seconds on a station and people, they tune out because they
Yeah.
feel like you've interrupted them, you
Yeah.
know? So it's
Yeah.
really finding a way to get them to say yes. And some of that work now is activations.
Mm.
Some of it is in-person events. There are so many partnerships. There's so many ways today to create great advertising. It all comes down to really good ideas. And the best ideas win.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's really interesting that you say that because as you said, it got more complicated. That really made me think about how even we're talking about back then versus now, and back then people had no problem sitting down in front of the TV and watching for a 30-minute episode of a TV show on cable. 7 minutes of those being commercials, up to 9 minutes of those being commercials, and people had no problem sitting through that. This is before DVR and TiVo and all that stuff. And now, like attention is the hot commodity, right? And people, you have to be able to capture people's attention. So your marketing has gotten a lot more complex because you're like, how do we capture attention within 2 to 3 seconds so that people don't click the skip button on our ads and whatnot, or people don't feel interrupted? How do we make this more native? So you're definitely right. It's gotten a lot more complicated. Even on the surface, people might think it's gotten easier, but it hasn't.
And I'll tell you something too, is when TV first came out, people were watching, the television went off and people would watch the screen. The reality is, as TV got more and more channels, more content, people did not like commercials after a
Mm.
while. And
Yeah.
so it's always been a challenge. And today, advertising is so much bigger than commercials. There's so many different ways to capture people's attention.
Yeah,
So.
definitely. Now I feel like advertising, like people have such a negative view on advertising a lot of times that like organic content has become such a big thing. And it was a big thing even back in the original Facebook days, but we went through this phase where ads were everything and we're trying to get the lowest CPM. And now it's become to the point where the lowest CPM is zero CPMs if you can get a good organic strategy in place almost. Do you guys do a lot of that at the Miller Group?
Absolutely, it's super important.
Yeah.
Strategy is key. Strategy is key. And that's also to get good strategy, you have to really develop those insights. And great ideas come out of a really sound strategy. So clients really need to have, we love having these sessions with clients who are deep thinkers, who challenge the agency, who don't just
Mhm.
say, we need a new website or this or that. It's not
Yeah,
about doing stuff. It's really more about understanding the mindset and then seeing what works. And that's the fun part.
yeah,
When you come up with an insight that nobody ever thought of. Like
yeah.
you probably watch a lot of content and
Mm.
tons of movies, tons of commercials, but when something really stands out, you will go back and watch it again and again, and that's where the magic comes in.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
go, oh, I saw that, or I paid attention, or that really moved me, or
Mm.
got me. We want to get somebody to do something. That's the bottom line. It's
Yeah,
been that way for hundreds of years, and it's going to continue. Our job isn't to be an artist, although I love great creative. Our job is to move the needle, to get somebody to do something that they wouldn't normally have thought about doing.
yeah, that's a great approach. We really like that. And to touch on strategy a little bit more, you mentioned giving middle market companies an unfair advantage. So what does that look like in practice, and how do you outmaneuver better funded competitors?
So it's not always about how loud you shout or how much money you throw at an advertisement. It's really about capturing the audience and really focusing on those key folks who are really going to make a big difference. And I think that's where good strategy and good insights come in. And we also look at universal truths. That's a
Mhm.
great example. What is it that is going to compel people? What's the
Mhm.
universal truth behind this product? I saw the other day I was driving in Hollywood and I saw you'll appreciate this, I'm going to call it a billboard for Tillamook cheese. Do you know that company,
Yeah,
Taste?
yeah.
What it was is somebody painted an entire building. The building looked like it was very much in the shape of a piece of Tillamook cheddar cheese. And the entire building looks like a block of Tillamook cheddar cheese. To me, that's like a brilliant use of media
Uh,
and a brilliant use of messaging because everybody that walks by there is going to comment on that brick of
yeah,
cheese. Just to give you an idea, like it's just how innovative can you get? And that's
yeah,
always like when we work with clients who have limited budgets, we have to ask that question, how compelling can we get? What can we do to really get people's attention?
yeah, definitely. I like that. I think that's something I would definitely talk about too. It's the same thing with like really funny billboards these days. There's more and more billboard advertising has gotten so old now that it's like almost coming back to this, okay, we can bring this back, but it's got to be really creative or else it's not worth doing. Or it's got to be very innovative in terms of advertising or else it's not worth doing. You know what I mean? So that's really cool. And your agency positions itself as in-house support for clients. And I'm curious, how do you walk the line between being a true partner while still staying agile and external?
I think it's a collaborative effort. We work with clients who are open to being collaborative, listening. They'll share their opinion. We may give pushback and give a different opinion. And that's important. That's important because ultimately, really good marketers today, they don't need a yes person. They don't need just somebody that they give them a project and then the person does exactly what they're told. We really push back and we become they're almost, we say like an in-house agency, but different because we bring a different point of view. When
Yes.
you're in-house, you do the same things over and over, and you don't always see something different. When you bring an outside perspective, we'll look at something from a different viewpoint, and clients will say, "Wow, we didn't see that, we missed that." So that's why but we operate as though we were their support team. We're always available. It's not, oh, you have to call your account rep. No, we're small, so whoever's available and whoever you need to talk to, you get on the phone or you get on an email or a text or a Zoom or whatever, and we talk it through. And a lot of times we'll get clients who have a really tight deadline project and we just did something for recently a financial services. I said financial services. That's only one area. A lot of our work is in home products and services, but they needed something literally turned around, a huge project within 10 days, including printing. A lot of it was digital, but some of it was printed material. So like we just became their in-house team. It was a small group and we supported them 100%. And that kind of a thing works really well when the client is super attentive and understands we've got to give you feedback and we've got to get
Yeah,
it to you like quickly.
right.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, wow. And that is the inherent value of an agency. And I think that's why agencies will be around forever, is that the outside view perspective. Because business owners and people in their C-suite, whatever it is, they're through no fault of their own, they're dealing with their business every day. So you get this tunnel vision. And so you think this is what your brand is, you think that this is what you should be doing. And in some cases they're right, but like in other cases, it takes that outside perspective to come in and be like, no, actually, this is what your customer is saying, and this is how we should approach it because of X, Y, and Z. And that value will always be there that a good agency can bring. I like
yeah.
that you guys can toe that line between being like that, having the support of an in-house team, but having the outside point of view of an external team. Renee, this has been awesome. Really, your experience really shows that you know what you're doing and your team knows what they're doing. Where can people learn more about you and where can people learn more about your agency?
Thanks, Shivs.
Mm,
Millergroup.com is our website. We're on all the socials, LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, and I can be reached by email at Renee at millergroupmarketing.com.
okay,
So yeah,
cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for being on. This was great.
thanks, Shiv.